All right, welcome back. Change of venue for our next segment, but joined by a guest who's become pretty familiar here to the Flashpoint audience, our Secretary of State, Jocelyn Benson, who has put forward a new list of proposals for fixing Election Day in Michigan. Secretary of State, good to have you back with us again.
Good to be here, Devin. Great to see you. I've missed coming on the show. I had a few weeks off. Glad to be back. But actually what this is a recognition is that, in fact, one of my mentors, Paul Tagliabue of the NFL said, if it's not broke, fix it anyway. There's always work we can do. There's always improvement that we can make. And in that regard, we recognize that what we saw last year was extraordinarily high turnout in the midst of a pandemic. We saw an efficient tabulation of the ballots. We saw high security of the system, one of the most secure elections in our country's history, as many have affirmed. So the question is, what does that data tell us that we need to do to replicate what worked, and what occurred that we could fix or alleviate for the future, and what can we codify in the law that worked really well so that we can ensure that it's in place for future elections. So this package, which is really around three pillars: protecting access to the vote, ensuring the infrastructure of our elections is strong, and protecting the security of the process, really looks at the data, looks at voter activity and engagement last year, and best practices from across the country, and seeks to chart the path forward for how we can replicate our success in the future.
Let's go through a couple of these. I think the one that got an awful lot of attention right out of the gate was you want to see this become a state holiday. Why would that make a big difference with the? Where would you expect that to make a big difference? I guess that's the question.
Yeah, well, it's interesting because we're a state where you can vote absentee without a reason. There's no data to suggest that more people would vote if Election Day was a holiday. But what it would do is two things. One, it would enable more people to serve as election workers on Election Day itself. And this year we saw that was really critical in keeping our precincts open and tabulating ballots that were voted absentee efficiently and securely. And that if people want to be able to participate in our elections, we had a lot of employers give their employees the day off, sports teams and others, and that was great. This would actually enable that to happen on a regular basis so that we can always fully staff our elections. And then secondly, in my view, holidays are celebratory events. They're preeminent days in our society that we recognize something special is happening. And certainly to me, that's what Election Day should be. It should be recognized as such. It should be celebrated as such. So that symbolic impact is important as well as we seek to increase civic engagement in our state.
Some people have made that case about national election days as well over the years. Let's move to some of these that I think you're already setting up for some contention with Republicans in the legislature, because they've already, I think, told you how they feel. For example, you want to be allowed to send out absentee ballots to every voter for every election. Now, that is what you did this past time around. Absentee ballot applications, not ballots, but applications went out to everyone. And it was held by the courts that you were within your right to do that. However, asking it to be enshrined by law, this is one of the things that so many Republicans have complained about. They felt that you were, by sending out these applications to people who hadn't requested them, that you were asking for mayhem.
Well, I first looked to what the voters want, and voters responded to being mailed applications overwhelmingly. We saw more people choose to vote absentee than ever before, 3 times the number who had voted absentee in the past presidential election. So in that way, the mailing was a success in educating voters in the midst of a pandemic, no less, how to vote absentee from home for the first cycle in which they had that right, because it was new. The second impact it had, though, was by doing that mailing statewide, we ensured that everyone got an application, so that whether you were on a list, we knew campaigns were going to send them out, we knew some clerks were going to send them out. This ensured that everyone had equal access to that information, and that what list you were on or where you lived didn't give you in some ways an advantage over someone else with more information than someone else might have received. So it created equity, which to me in voting is really important.
You also want more time for clerks to be able to start processing ballots. This was a big issue in the last election, of course. You want them to be allowed to start processing those ballots as they come in 2 weeks before Election Day. Not start counting them, which actually some other states can do, but to start processing them. This, again, is something the legislature's already told you how they feel, isn't it? That when they only wanted 24 hours advance for clerks to start.
Yeah, and again, this is, in my view, we should be listening to clerks and we should be listening to voters as to how we build election administration and policy. And clerks have overwhelmingly said as they said, for almost 2 years now, that we want and they want to be able to process ballots prior to election day. It's a basic efficiency. In my view, it's a no-brainer. And this is why so many other states, Democrats and Republicans, have implemented this in the law in Ohio, in North Carolina, in Florida. And it works quite well in this election in those states. And here in Michigan, we worked really hard to tabulate those ballots securely and efficiently. And we indeed did so 24 hours after the polls closed. But Ohio was done on election night. And wouldn't that be nice to have that convenience here as well? And certainly it's something our clerks have called for. It's something they can do securely. And it should be seen as a clear just modernization of current law to keep the pace with what voters are doing, voting absentee in more numbers, and what clerks are saying they need.
I'm assuming some clerks wanted you to go farther and would like to start counting them rather than just processing them. Why not do that? Which is, I mentioned, other states do.
Well, we know already that a number of states like Kentucky do that, and a lot of clerks have called for that. And I'm open to that discussion in the legislature. I think at this point, we want to set the stage, set the bar as to what we want at the very least. Certainly, if there's a lot of consensus around tabulation as well among the clerk community, that's something I would support. I'm really following their lead here because they're the ones who are on election night and beyond. And even prior, when they're seeing all these ballots being mailed in, they want to be as efficient as possible, and they want the legislature to give them the ability to be that.
I've just got a few seconds left, but the last question, not allowing anyone to bring a gun to anywhere close to a polling place. Some people would say that is a solution in search of a problem. Has that been a big problem that needs to be addressed?
Well, we certainly know voter intimidation, and look, you don't need me to tell you about the increase in the uptick in violence or threats of violence or violent rhetoric in the state this past year. So certainly that's a challenge. The bottom line is we want voters to feel safe when they're voting. We want election administrators to be protected and safe when they're administering elections, and that's what that policy is seeking.
We'll watch as these move forward. So good to spend time with you again on the program. Thanks so much for the time, Jocelyn. Good to talk to you. We'll see you soon. We'll take a quick break. Back with more on Flashpoint right after this.